satisfaction?
Thanks, Vijay. I would personally believe that this whole process has evolved a lot in the last 40 years. I remember 20 years back we used to do about 2,000 square foot of office in 60 days. Today we do 20,000 square foot of office in 60 days. Thanks to all the process and the progress that has been made in the industry, and thanks to all the learning that we have got from people like you. And also getting more in terms of carbon footprint. These are basically the things that we see are changing the industry quite rapidly.
But do you think that contributes to the employee satisfaction from an overall design perspective? With the new trends in design, which will enhance employee satisfaction?
Oh yeah, sure. See, when you design, when you work on any design these days, or design trends has changed. The offices, like I said, are more interactive. There are a lot of collaborative spaces. There are a lot of touchstone spaces that are being designed for user employees. What matters now is who's working, when, and from where. And all these options are being created by all the good outfits in the country, or all the corporates that are available there and that are doing business in the country. And these kind of things, and the demographics also, the office demographics has changed because there are a lot of young employees in all the offices. They are full of a lot of positive energy, and they need spaces which are happy spaces, which are vibrant spaces, and they create a buoyancy for every employee to deliver his or her best.
But these designs
actually works for a particular business and what does not. It depends on the nature of the business. We have seen in the past that in one of the projects there was a lot of collaborative furniture and collaborative spaces that were designed, but eventually it was not the actual requirement of the business, and subsequently they made us move that collaborative furniture and more workstations. So while there is a lot of learning from every magnate, every client, every business requirement, one also has to keep in mind the practicality of the aspect, whether it is usable or not usable. And I'm sure all the FM personnel sitting here will have experienced things like if apart from the aesthetics of the design and the functionality, the practicality has to be kept in mind, because otherwise it's a lot of load on the maintenance of the office.
From a real estate portfolio, unlike if you see outside India, the real estate portfolio is anything about 10 meters, 12 meters, which is defined. But when you are trying to create a portfolio in India as part of the design, normally you don't work on about 10 to 12 meters, right? But in spite of those challenges, do you think that the collaborative space is one of the major takes in terms of client requirement?
Yes, it is. By our experience, we have seen for the 90 office, usually space given is about 80, 75, 80 to 85 square feet. And for a corporate office, it varies from 100 to 125 square feet, depending on the nature of the business. And sometimes some businesses have a predefined guideline that this is the space that will be allocated to different levels of employees. And this is what needs to be seen is that if some area can be used in a way that it has multiple uses, maybe after business hours it's used for some recreation or a training room or a conference room is also used for something else. Or a cafeteria for that matter can be used for training or other purposes. So I think that is a more viable way to use less space in a more effective way.
But usually there is a prototype which is shown to you to replicate what is there, or it is that they look for more design and innovation from your side?
No, to be honest, I don't recall any protocol being shown to us ever. But yes, the designs are there, the working drawings are there, and the concepts are there, which we need to replicate. And that's what is done. And like I said a while ago, that what needs to be kept in mind is that it does not only have to look good, it has to perform well also, and it has to gel with the function of the business. It has to fit in their requirement. That's most important.
Okay. John, asking the same question, since you cater to a large European market in terms of your infrastructure solutions concerned, what are the emerging trends you see whether in Europe or the US or the APAC region, with the kind of economy you get from a design perspective? So when you are doing those modular infrastructure, what are the new trends?
I think I can say that the the European market or Western market, because I will describe it, is changing pretty much, and it is very different than, for example, 10 years ago when all offices were kind of like the same, just like you said, open space and so on. Now the requirements are very different. You know, I would say now because the companies are more developed and growing more, there's a high requirement for kind of a company corporate design, which represents the company. So I would say that's quite important. And of course, what we see as one of the main issues with office interiors, company layouts, and so on, is that in these times when it's very hard to plan for, you know, when you're building an office, you're basically planning for 10, 15, 20 years, and that's in these times very hard to do. Because the economies are changing, you don't know how your company is going to perform, and in order to do that, we're trying to help with our partitions, which are relocatable, and that means that your company is as flexible as your offices, as your layout. You know, you cannot wait for the conditions to change. You have to adapt to the conditions to improve the effectivity of your workers and so on, and that's effectivity as I think the biggest issue here.
Rajiv, you know, today, as you know, I'm sure a lot of times as been speaking to you, today the major challenge for everybody is, you know, how do we reuse what we have, you know, when there is an exit happening or when there is a refurbishment happening, right? So do you see opportunity in that space in terms of reusable modular design? You know, for example, today in India, I think the most common thing is that when you are building a cabinet, you use a POP and, you know, gypsum boards and things like that. So when you are trying to bring it down, you know, the kind of effort which goes behind that, clear it out, because you need to have this condition basis. So do you see that trend changing in India in terms of the design of reuse?
Yes, we do notice a lot of change in that. To be honest, in the last 2 years, we have also experienced a lot of RFPs that we receive are about retrofit jobs. Existing buildings being changed, you know, because they have become old and they're not in with today's design and sync with what the employees and management wants. This is definitely a little tricky subject, and it needs a lot of careful planning from everybody's side. The client has to actually know exactly what is the extent of retrofit they are looking for, what is the cost they want to spend on that, and also what is the time they are willing to give to the execution agency to refurbish the retrofits. Having said that, we do realize that all these, like I said, we fix interiors like gypsum partitions and all. When we knock them off, it's a sheer waste. But what can be done and what is being done in some of the cases that we are working on right now that people are using, not only the demountable glass partition system, but also the drywall system, which is basically the same thing. But you put a gypsum panel or you put a wooden panel or something like that. It's a hard panel. And in this case, you can relocate that while you're using the office or while you're relocating or you're retrofitting. So that is moving way forward. It's not about the cost, it actually definitely costs will be more about, than the cost of the gypsum partition initially. But in terms of value, if you see, it is a lot of value in that.
From a flexibility or from a design perspective, right? With the trend, you know, what I've seen outside is that there is a lot of flexibility in terms of the overall design is concerned. You know, for example, as part of your requirement, do you see
every group is working for a different purpose, and you know they have enclosed stadiums for each group, and the other group is not supposed to care about what they are doing. And this is a particular situation where they asked us to relocate the partition, the fixed partition. But the normal workstation and the partition, they hardly ever get relocated. Yes, sometimes people want to put in more because there is an expansion. That's something which is very normal.
I wish I was in your shoes. John, you know, from a design, when you are executing design perspective, do you see there is more or increase in productivity requirement, from a overall design and from an overall infrastructure perspective?
So you mean regards to customer, they require that the design kind of complies with the okay. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I have to say I don't know exactly how the situation is in India, but I think that's not the point of discussion now, because I know what's happening in Europe, and I am pretty certain that the same things are going to happen in India, and simply, as I said before, planning nowadays is very difficult, and I see the most companies are looking to cut their operation costs, and in order to do that, you have to increase your effectivity, and the layout of this is a very big part of your effectivity, because the people, the workers, how they interact together, they're basically living together, and it's not just about moving chairs. We see that by totally redesigning the office, you can increase the effectivity, maybe divide the company before you thought that you want to have another department, so on. So definitely, I would say, even if it's not now the trend in India, I would suggest investors to think about this for the future, which could be their competitive advantage to other companies being flexible.
Rajiv, from a design perspective, do you get certain requirement which talks about your design should be based on, let us say, enhancing employee productivity, or your design is based on the capacity requirement?
Well, it's both, but definitely there's more emphasis on the creativity and the productivity of the employees.
Okay, so when you say that, what is that usual trend in India as part of the design that has contributed or played a big role in terms of the employee productivity? From a design perspective, the common element, as part of the design, where you feel that most of the clients have come back and saying that because of the including this, component, the overall workplace ecology has changed. Is there such situation?
I think the open office concept has contributed greatly to this subject, and like I said, creating community spaces and shared spaces virtually makes everybody feel equal. There are not too many barriers of rooms and tables and elbows. Also providing touchdowns is something that is another enabler to increase the productivity, because in so many organizations people are traveling from one place to another, and they have these touchdowns, they can come in another location and sit down there and operate from there. I would also say that besides all these things, to the fact that having large spaces for them in terms of training rooms, cafeterias, which are multi-purpose and can be used for their recreative purpose, post office hours is something which is also adequate. A lot of different spaces. When you talk about open spaces, we are also talking about the new desking system instead of having a usual, post standard open desking system that makes offices more efficient and gives you more room for moving around passage flow. And also to have most of the paintings are glass cabins, so you can see through what is happening there, and you feel like one team, one unit. It does have some challenges also. I think in most losses that we have done, and you see probably everybody's part of they realize that acoustics is a very huge issue in open offices and even in glass cabins. But that is something which there's a lot of solutions available in today's days to address those.
From a technology perspective, part of the design, if you see in any other country, collaborative office integration plays a big role as part of the design from a technology perspective. So do you see those trends coming into India rather than a retrofit of certain things as an interface to the design? The design itself will have this collaborative and office integration element?
Yeah, we have seen quite a few offices where all these elements are put in together in terms of having the capacity to expand seating at any point in time that they may require. Also in terms of technology, and people are traveling, people who do not have fixed seats in a particular office, there are software developed, you can go and you can see which seat or which table is available at what time. You just put in your passport and that phone has your extension number and things like that. All your IDs and all get enabled on that phone on your system and all. So this is something which is being used here and this is really helping both the employees and the management.
Do you also see a requirement for green design?
Oh yeah, I think everybody sees the requirement for the green design and fortunately most of the projects that are being executed now is on green design. It's about waste management, it's about water management, it's about energy management and yes, there is a little debate about people talking about ROIs or the paybacks, but I think personally, I think we all share the fact that it's not about paybacks, but payoff to the society.
Okay. John, what is the paradigm shift you are seeing as part of design in Europe? Is there anything which you have seen that which was not there now? There is a sudden.
Sure. What you were just talking about the environment, impact of offices and so on. I think that's a big issue nowadays in Europe. In all the ways, it's some companies, of course, there are companies who are trying to avoid all these kind of policies. But I would say the successful companies, it's a part of their brand or their image that they are contributing to the environment, to the society, and also more regulations are being put on environmental impact of companies. So definitely, I would say that in Western countries nowadays, the LEED and green certification is becoming more and more important, and I hope it will continue.
Rajiv, my last question to you then from a workplace ecology perspective, what is the most common factor you see where there is a kind of workplace study that the client tell you to do, and then based on that you're expected to come out with a design. Do you see those trends happening? Because I remember in most of the Europe and the US, they do a workplace study before doing the design, just to understand the behavior of employees who are going to be there. Based on the behavior, the designs are executed and implemented. So do you see such trends coming into India whenever a client asks you to do a workplace study and then come up with a design?
Yeah, there are quite a few clients who actually make a workplace study before they finalize the design and they finalize the whole structure of the office. And like you mentioned a while ago, there are certain mandates also, there are certain norms which have to be followed, whether it is for the waste management of the office or whether it is for the employees in their space of work and their space of cafeterias and all. What is the process management, how the whole thing will move from one end to another. And having said that, most of these points actually contribute to the green environment. They are basically leading the whole office and system towards having a more green office.
Okay, we can take two questions. Anybody? Okay, good. With this discussion, I think it's more or less clear that from a design perspective, from a productivity perspective, more or less it is more of a global mindset in terms of the overall design, which comes from the parent company so that it is replicated, and it is more of a mandate sometimes where designs are replicated or designs are made sure that anybody going to any offices globally, it is more or less the same thing which comes in. But with this discussion, I think it is evident that any design is based on enhancing employee productivity and satisfaction and creating more collaborative space so that the productivity can be influenced to bringing that culture into the organization. Thank you, gentlemen. Thanks for your time and input.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and we would like to present a small token of thanks and regards to all our key speakers. So we would like to invite Mr. Naveen Puri to kindly do